Welcome, friends. Today, we're doing another first impressions video. Nice. And today we are continuing on with our discovery of the house of Angelos Creations Olfactives, the sample set that was sent to me by DJ. Yesterday I did the first video in this series, and as night follows day, today I am doing the second video. That's how numbers work. Anyhow, I was quite impressed with the actual technique and the quality of the technical aspect, you know, the actual blending. That's the word I'm looking for. God. Yes, I was quite impressed with the technical aspect of like how they were made. A couple of them in there weren't for me, but that's just par for the course when it's like taste, isn't it? You know. There seems to be that mineralic sort of vibe running through a lot of modern perfumes these days. We've got Quentin Biche to thank for that, with his Ganymede and his Le Fin du Monde. He's quite into that. I think he could be like the next, I don't want to say the next Cuir de Jean, but he is at the minute making the weather, as they say, you know. Ganymede apparently is extremely popular, and that's got that mineralic sort of vibe. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. Which I can appreciate because it's not burnt sugar, it's not a Ventus, it's something different, it's something creative. So fair play on that score. It's just not for me. Anyway, how have I got onto that little rant? That was not my intent. Anyway, today we are trying 4 different perfumes from the house. And the perfumes I have taken out of the tin are Cuir Fleurissant, Irida, Tabac Libre, and Vetiveria Animalis. Ooh, that sounds interesting, doesn't it? So, which one shall we try first? We will try, I believe, Cuir Fleurissant. Now, let's have a look, shall we? Here we go. Some different sticks today. I have opened a new pack. I think I've got enough there for a while, don't you? I bought a bag of 200. A 200 bag. There'll be some drug people who will be like, oh, I've bought a few of them. Anyway, nothing to do with the brand that. Let's have a look. This came out in 2019, and the little blurb says, Cuir Fleurissant is my very own interpretation of the traditional scented leather technique. A blast of Calabrian bergamot opening, followed by smoky rectified birch oil, castoreum and caramelized florals with the addition of my signature muguet called muguet. I'm scared, but we will go in blind, friends. This is what first impressions are for, isn't it? This sample's quite full. Let's have a look. I imagine DJ liked this because this is his kind of fragrance, I think. Animalic, weird. Oof. Oof. Let's have a look. Top notes are birch tar, Calabrian bergamot, Tunisian neroli, aldehydes, violet leaf and orange blossom. The middle notes are lily of the valley, smoke, mimosa absolute, that was in a couple of things yesterday, geranium, violet, orris, Brazilian rosewood, damask rose and ylang ylang. The base is leather, apopanax, castoreum, styrax, benzoin from Siam, patchouli, amyris, musk, vanilla absolute, ambrette, and cypriol oil or nagamotha. That is a note listing. That is a good old-fashioned note listing, that. Not fucking about. Weird. I get the aldehydes. Aldehydes are quite big at the top there, plus the citrus. I'm getting a vintage leather kind of accord, you know, like a Cuir Fleurissant kind of leather thing going on. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. I'm getting the violet, the orris, like some kind of purpleness, you know. Violet leaf, of course, is in there. Not getting much birch tar at the minute. You birch you. Some of the styrax, that kind of rubbery, I always associate styrax with that kind of rubbery feel, you know? Very complex. Smells modern. Pardon me. It either smells vintage with a modern twist, or modern with a vintage twist. It's one of them. But I'm not sure which. Getting some of the smoke now. And some of the birch. The aldehydes were quite present at the beginning, you know. Sorry for me sniffling. There's a DNA emerging from like the house. You know? Like, he's got his style. You could smell an Angelos. The florals are becoming a bit more sort of strident. There's a lot of motion. Turbulence even, but not without the chaos. I know it's very fast moving. Like rapids. Like you're being tossed around between all these notes. I imagine that'll settle. But it's doing a lot at the minute and it's hard to keep up. I'll come back to that at the end of the video and see how it's sort of settled down. It's quite nice. You're getting quite a lot there. It's doing quite a bit. And it's hard to... Like, as soon as you, like, touch upon one thing, it's changed into something else. Like, at the very beginning, I smelled like this sparkling... No, at the very, very beginning, when I first sprayed it, I got the leather and the birch, and then that immediately disappeared and gave way to, like, the aldehydes and the bergamot. And then immediately after that, it gave away to, like, the purple violet leaf, violet orris rose kind of thing. And then it changed again to this kind of styraxy, leathery, benzoine accord, and it hasn't settled down quite yet. It's very potent as well. It's very potent. Interesting. Next, we will go to a perfume called Irida. I wonder what this will smell like. This was released in 2018. And once again, Angelos has made it himself. Angelos had a YouTube channel. He did a John Peg. He had a YouTube channel called My Fragrance Blog, and he commented on the video yesterday, which was cool. Found out he did it. Something a little starchy in there that's caught the back of my throat. A little powdery, starchy thing. He said that he'd made 14 perfumes plus a what was it called? A special edition, and then he was making an attar soon. So that's interesting. Let's read the blurb. Iris, or Irida, was the goddess of rainbow, according to Greek mythology, but also one of the most spectacular flowers. In this Soliflor creation, I wanted to present all the facets of this flower, and of course particularly the root, of which orris butter is made, and it is sincerely one of my most favourite and most used raw materials. Dry, powdery, violety, green, aromatic, woody facets all dance in perfect harmony and balance. A note from the brand. So, top notes are violet leaf and Tunisian neroli. Middle notes are orris, carrot seed, violet, cloves, cinnamon and jasmine. And the base notes are ambret, sandalwood, vetiver, amaris, labdanum, and Gaiac wood. Violet. I get the purpleness. Violet's quite striking to me. It's not Parma violet, so it's not that chalky, dry kind of violet thing. But you can tell that that's there, but it's being masked by, like, other stuff. You know, I think that the, excuse me. I think that the iris or orris in this is smoothing out that kind of rough chalk kind of vibe, you know? Chalky. Purple. Buds. This reminds me of Lonesome Rider. Lonesome Rider by Andy Tower. Not Lone Star Memories, Lonesome Rider. If you've ever smelled that, fucking, it's almost impossible to find now. There seems to be some kind of like rosy aspect, like a violet-y rosy thing going on. Like a wet, humid kind of vibe, you know? It's clean. It's too violet-y for me. I'm not a big fan of violet anyway. Getting a little bit of the clove. Bit of vetiver. Or something like claiming to be vetiver. Maybe the vetiver's just fighting to make itself heard. You know? It's gone a bit flat now. Maybe it's just because it's on paper, I don't know. Maybe something a little bit zingy, like a cinnamon. I mean, I know there's cinnamon in it, but like I'm getting like that kind of not dry, but like it could be the cloves, to be fair. Getting that dry spice kind of feel. There's carrot seed in it too. So that's could be that, and it's making itself known. Interesting. Okay. I think that's a little too violet-y for me. Maybe the violet will calm down and I'll get used to it. I don't get much powder from it. Oh. Excuse me whilst I hydrate. But that's probably a good thing because I'm not huge on the old powder. Tabac Libre. So, liberal tobacco, I imagine. I might be talking wet. We will see. This was released in 2020. Not a great year, 2020. You know. The year of the illness. But not to worry. Let's see what you have to say. This is Tobacco in All Forms, a free An uncompromising composition trying to show all the aspects and facets of the genre. Oh, it's stained the old fucking tester strip. That's big in the air already. I get sweetness. Based on tobacco absolute and moderately sweetened only by natural materials like tonka bean and hay absolute, Tabac Libre offers a wonderful and non-smoking or vaping experience of aromatic tobacco to the wearer. It was chronologically my 5th creation and was initially made for a close friend, who urged me to create my take on the tobacco essence. Note from the brand. I'm getting sweetness though, I'll say that, definitely. Top notes are tobacco leaf, cognac, rum, coffee, saffron and cardamom. Middle notes are tobacco, hay, immortelle, osmanthus, raspberry, plum, violet, carnation, orris, carrot seeds and heliotrope. Base notes are opoponax, patchouli, oak moss, tonka bean, castoreum, cedar, sandalwood, cypriol oil and mushroom of all things. Not a big fan of the old mushroom. I can't eat mushrooms at all. Look like aliens. This is nice. Immediately when I first sprayed it, I got the raspberry, the plum, the cognac, the rum, that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? I got this slightly boozy, sweet. This is very nice. I'm also getting the hay and the osmanthus. Something a little incensey, a little bit resinous, balsamic. It is sweet though. I'm getting some tangy saffron too. I always get a tang or a twang from the old saffron, you know. It's nice though. There's a dryness coming in from like, it's got to be like the Nagamotha, which is cypriol oil, carnation, that kind of thing. A little bit spicy. Cardamom, saffron, carrot seed. I get a kind of like a musky sort of warm vibe from carrot seed. Hay, definitely. I'm getting the hay, the tobacco. Tobacco and hay seem to be quite commonly used together. Certainly in modern perfume and certainly in like niche and indie perfume now. Tobacco and hay, I think they complement each other, or they must complement each other, because you see it a lot. Obviously there's tobacco in this. The sweetness is, it's not overtly sweet. It's not like sugar, sucrose sweet. It's like berry sweet, you know? Like rum, cognac kind of thing, raspberry plum. Yes, I get all of that sort of thing. It's not like Baccarat Rouge or like ethyl malt or like outrageous sweetness, you know? I get what he means when he says it's like understated, but I wouldn't say that it's I'm going to say this without contradicting myself. I'm being an pronouncing an oxymoron. It's not subtle sweetness, but it's not overstated sweetness either. It's not like sickeningly sweet. But you could sicken yourself with it. You know, if you sprayed too much. It's balanced against this dry hay, tobacco, osmanthus. Like the middle notes are really doing a lot of the heavy lifting in this fragrance. Like I get like this kind of slightly subtle kind of like, maybe it's the mushroom and osmanthus strike me as a couple of notes that would go together quite well. They've got this kind of, not rubbery, but you can feel them, you know. They've got texture. It's well balanced and rounded, you know. It feels like a 3D perfume. It feels like there's like depth, and I'm going to try that one on skin, absolutely, along with the cologne that I've already smelled. I really like that cologne, actually. It hung around and did very well yesterday, I felt. Anywho, next up, and lastly, but not least, we are doing Vetiveria Animalis. Vetiveria Animalis. Let's have a look, shall we? What is your game? Now, when I think Animalis, I think Kouros. Its most famous use. So, and there's Vetiver in Kouros as well, so we'll see what happens here. Oh, I get this powdery vetiver, this green, clean, powdery vetiver straight away. I wonder if there's iris in this. I bet there is. Launched in 2022, Vetiveria Animalis is a composition that represents vetiver in all forms and facets. Vetiver with a soul, bright yet dark, rooty and earthy, nutty and smoky. I use several techniques I learned and constantly learning through my olfactory creations formulation journey, always staying true and loyal to vintage perfumes inspiration. Narcissus and several animalics harmoniously blended with rich orris butter and a complex floral bouquet of absolutes and accords, and maintain, but also amplify all aspects and nuances coming from vetiver oils. I think that might need rewriting. Vetiveria Animalis is a multi-dimensional vetiver-based creation that I'm really proud of being able to compose. 25% concentration, 30 ml. There's vetiver, absolutely, no doubt there's vetiver. Top notes are vetiver, aldehydes, cinnamon, Calabrian bergamot, geranium and plum. Middle notes are Haitian vetiver, orris root, civet, narcissus, carnation, damask rose, lily of the valley, ambrette and Egyptian jasmine. Base notes are Java vetiver oil, oak moss, Thailand oud, hyrax, castoreum, cyan benzoin, sandalwood, patchouli, tolu balsam, amberarome, ambergris, and vanilla absolute. So I get this musky, powdery vetiver. A musky, powdery vetiver. This kind of soft, round, a soft, round kind of vibe, but there's powder. The orris root is powdery in this. I'd say the benzoin is doing bits, so I can smell that. It reminds me a bit of the Parfum d'Empire, the vetiver bourbon fragrance. It reminds me a bit of that. By Marc-Antoine Corticciato. I'm getting this ambery feel from it. The aldehydes are starting to kick in as well. Again, there's a lot of turn at the churn at the top. Churn's the word. There's a lot of like, there's a lot of moving going on at the top, you know. Maybe too much. It's rich without being overbearing, but it's hard to keep up with what's going on in this perfume. It's not trying to do it. It's not like a try hard perfume, you know what I mean? It smells very good. It's just very quick. Like, I feel like I can't keep up. I'm getting the oud a little bit now. Just bits of the oud though, not lots of it. It's not like a full-on oud fragrance. Again, nothing's dominating. The vetiver's the most present, but it's not like dominant, you know. I'll try this on skin as well. Aldehydes. It's a big aldehyde boy. I'm getting some of the animalic sort of stuff now as well, but it's indistinct. It's nondescript aldehydes. It's like, not aldehydes, animalic. There's a lot of animalic stuff in here. Your hyrax, your oud, your castoreum, your ambergris, civet. You know, all of that stuff will provide you with like a funky base, but it's not a funky perfume. It's just there. And it's balanced again. It takes a while, but it's sort of balancing out now. It's sort of balancing out into like this vetiver, this powdery vetiver with a little bit of sting from the aldehydes. Again, the orris root's doing a lot it's covering a multitude of sins. Do you know what I mean? It's rounding everything out. It's interesting. I'll try that one on skin. Absolutely. So I'll be trying both the Tabac Libre and the Vetiveria Animalis on skin. But we will smell them all once again quickly, and then I shall say ta-ta. So, first off, we had a Cuir Fleurissant. That's very nice. That's settled down a lot now. It's got sort of... you can tell that he's into his vintage fragrances, and that they've inspired him a lot, because this smells like yieldy. This smells like a yieldy perfume. And it's very nice. That I may even be tempted to try that on skin. It's a floral leather. If you're into stuff like Cuir Fleurissant, you would be interested by that. Next up, Irida. That's nice as well. It's not something I would wear. It's too floral for me. Those violets are... they're not Parma violets, not at all. But there's violet going on there. And it puts me off a bit, that I must admit. But it's a taste thing. It's still well made, you know. Just whenever I smell violet, I smell Parma violet, and it's terrifying. It reminds us of my grandma on my dad's side, and she wasn't very pleasant. Anyway, Tabac Libre. That's really nice. That's a really good sweet still though. It's not subtle sweetness. It's still like profoundly sweet, but it's not overbearingly sweet. It's not cloying, you know what I mean? I'll try that on skin as well. You should have seen what it's done to the stick. It's completely stained it. Fantastic. And last but certainly not least, we have the Vetiveria Animalis. Very powdery. Earthy, powdery earth. Imagine powdered earth. You know? Imagine you spilled some talcum powder on some dry soil. That might be a bit too powdery for me, that actually. But anywho, another successful first impressions video in my opinion. This has run long actually, but not to worry. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you all again soon with my final on-strip first impressions video. Thanks very much everybody. Goodbye.